She stands at the crossroads of life and death, wielding the kind of power that could make even the gods tremble. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pantheon Mythology, where today we're exploring the question, why is Hecate so terrifying and so loved? If you too want to make the gods tremble, check out Pantheon Apparel, our clothing brand inspired by legends from around the world. We ship worldwide and are rated excellent on Trustpilot. Link in the description. Right, let's go. Hecate is a goddess unlike any other in Greek mythology, straddling the worlds of light and shadow. She's known for her mastery over magic, her guidance at crossroads, and her connection to the underworld. Feared for her ties to the dead and loved for her protective nature, Hecate's duality makes her one of the most intriguing figures in the ancient pantheon. Her story begins with her parents, the Titans Perses and Asteria. From Perses, she inherited a connection to destruction and raw power, and from Asteria, she gained ties to the night, prophecy, and the stars. Born in the age of Titans, Hecate was no ordinary goddess. When Olympians overthrew the Titans, most of her kin were cast down, but Hecate was different. Zeus, recognizing her unmatched abilities, not only spared her, but honored her with a rare privilege: dominion over the realms of earth, sea, and sky. This authority made Hecate unique in Greek mythology. She wasn't bound to a single dominion like many gods. Instead, she moved freely between worlds, straddling boundaries both physical and metaphysical. She could bless sailors on treacherous seas, guide farmers on the land, and hold sway over the skies above. But her power didn't stop there. Hecate also ruled over transitions and the unknown, making her a goddess of crossroads, choices, and mysteries. This ability to bridge worlds and defy categorization is what set her apart. While others sought to impose order, Hecate thrived in the spaces in between, commanding respect from both mortals and gods alike. Hecate's power stretched into realms that others feared even to acknowledge. As the goddess of magic and witchcraft, she was the ultimate source of arcane knowledge and supernatural might. Her name was invoked in rituals and spells to summon spirits, control the elements, and unlock the secrets of the unknown. Witches and magicians saw her as their patron, a figure who could grant access to forces that lay beyond mortal understanding. To call upon Hecate was to step into a world of raw, untamed power. At crossroads, both literal and metaphorical, Hecate's presence was undeniable. These places were charged with transitions, moments of choice that could shape destiny. The Greeks believed crossroads were haunted by spirits, and Hecate stood guard, her torches lighting the way for travelers, guiding them through uncertainty. Hecate's role extended beyond her individual powers. She thrived in the spaces between life and death, light and dark, certainty and chaos. She was a protector to those who sought her favor, and a terror to those who crossed her. Even the gods acknowledged her authority, as her influence spanned realms that few dared to enter. To honor Hecate was to understand the balance of power and respect. She didn't just occupy one world, but commanded the thresholds between them, reminding all who encountered her of the fragile line separating order from the unknown. Hecate's symbols are deeply tied to her immense power and influence, each one telling a different part of her story. Her torches stand out as one of the most iconic symbols, lighting the path between realms. These flames weren't just for show, they were a guiding force illuminating the darkness between the living and the dead, showing that Hecate's influence reaches into places others fear to tread. The key is another emblem of Hecate's power. It represents her dominion over doors and thresholds. The key isn't just a way to open doors, it's a symbol of her ability to unlock hidden knowledge and offer access to mysteries that lie beyond the reach of most. Whether it's the door to the underworld or the secrets of magic, Hecate holds the key to it all. Daggers are also sacred to Hecate, often associated with her role in witchcraft and the occult. But these aren't just weapons. In rituals, the dagger is a tool for focusing magical energy, cutting through illusion, and drawing boundaries. They represent her control over what exists between life and death, helping to define and protect the sacred spaces where powerful forces are at play. Hecate's sacred animals also reflect her power. Dogs, especially black ones, are seen as loyal companions, guides through the underworld, and protectors of those who seek her help. Snakes, a symbol of rebirth and transformation, embody her connection to the earth and the mysteries that lie beneath. Snakes have the ability to shed their skin and renew themselves, much like Hecate's ability to guide souls through transitions. And then there are the crows, often seen as messengers, connecting the spiritual world to the living. They carry wisdom and insight, just as Hecate does, helping those who seek answers from beyond. But perhaps the most striking representation of Hecate is her triple form. In ancient Greek depictions, she was often shown as three faces or bodies, symbolizing her ability to see in all directions at once and her dominion over transitions and boundaries. This triadic form represented her power over the realms of earth, sea, and sky, as well as her role as a guide at crossroads. Each of these symbols, whether the torches, the key, or the animals, speaks to a different side of Hecate's immense power. The way she moves between the realms, guiding souls, unlocking secrets, and navigating the cycles of life and death, all contributes to her role as a protector, a guardian, and a goddess who transcends the boundaries of life itself. Hecate's darker side is where her terrifying power truly comes to life. She had control over ghosts, spirits, and curses, but she didn't just command them, she owned them. When she called upon the dead, they obeyed. Whether in necromantic rituals or dark magic, Hecate didn't just seek spirits for communication, she wielded them like weapons. She could summon restless souls, force them to do her bidding, and use them to strike fear into the living. Her powers didn't offer comfort, they bent the very laws of life and death to her will. But Hecate's influence didn't stop with summoning spirits. Her presence was felt most fearfully during night processions, terrifying parades that filled the streets with an overwhelming sense of dread. The hounds of Hecate, spectral dogs that followed her wherever she went, were said to be the harbingers of doom. Their eyes glowed in the dark, and their howls carried a promise of death. These hounds weren't just symbols of Hecate's power, they were her tools, hunting down lost souls and ensuring no one escaped her reach. The crossroads, where the living and dead met, were places of danger, and Hecate was their ruler. It wasn't a place for the faint-hearted. Those who invoked her risked walking a fine line between life and death, with no way of knowing which side Hecate would choose for them. Hecate's power wasn't just feared, it was also a source of comfort and protection for those who sought her help. As the goddess who watched over households, she was believed to shield families from evil and misfortune. In ancient Greece, it wasn't uncommon for people to leave offerings at their doorways, small gifts of food or symbolic tokens, hoping to call on Hecate to protect their homes. She wasn't just a figure of distant power, she was a goddess who could be relied on for safety and security, guarding the ones you love from forces beyond your control. Her protective nature extended far beyond the home. She was seen as a guide for those navigating both the unknown and the challenges life threw in their way. But Hecate wasn't just about offering protection, she was a goddess of wisdom. In times of doubt, when decisions felt impossible, people would turn to her for clarity. Hecate had a unique way of helping those in confusion. She wasn't just there to offer answers, she helped people find the path that aligned with their fate. Her wisdom was sought during moments of crisis, when the future seemed uncertain, and people needed a sign to show what to do next. One of the most significant rituals in Hecate's honor was the Deepnon, or Hecate's Supper, a sacred meal held at the end of each month. During this ritual, offerings were made to her in hopes of receiving her blessings. It wasn't just about food, it was a time for purification and connection. The Greeks believed that by honoring Hecate during the Deepnon, they could ensure protection and guidance for the coming month. It was also a time to show respect for the boundary between life and death, as Hecate was one of the few gods who ruled over both. Hecate's role as protector and guide shows that she wasn't just the goddess of dark magic and spirits. She was also there for those seeking help, whether they were standing at a crossroads in life or simply needed a little extra protection from the unseen forces in the world. She had a way of making the world seem a little less uncertain and a little more manageable, helping those who asked her for wisdom along the way. Hecate's presence in Greek mythology isn't just about her abstract power. She plays an active role in some of the most dramatic and pivotal stories shaping the lives of gods and mortals alike. One of her most famous roles is in the myth of Persephone's abduction by Hades. When Persephone was taken to the underworld, her mother, Demeter, fell into despair, causing the world to freeze. In her grief, Demeter searched desperately for her daughter. It was Hecate who stepped forwards, her torches lighting the way through the darkness. Using her knowledge of the unseen, Hecate guided Demeter through the shadows, uncovering the truth about what had happened to Persephone. Hecate's role in Medea's story also shows how powerful and dangerous her influence could be. Medea, a skilled sorceress, called on Hecate for help when Jason sought the Golden Fleece. With Hecate's magical guidance, Medea helped Jason complete the impossible tasks set by King Aeetes of Colchis. But as the story progresses, Medea's reliance on Hecate's magic took a darker turn. When Jason betrayed her, Medea's grief and her anger led to horrific actions, including the murder of her children. Hecate's power, once a tool of aid, became an instrument of destruction, showing the dangerous potential of invoking Hecate for vengeance. Medea's fate highlights the risk of misusing Hecate's gifts. Her power was a force of transformation, but it could easily turn destructive if the user wasn't careful. But Hecate wasn't just a passive figure. Her power could bring great rewards, strength, protection, and insight, but it also came with a price. She was a goddess who could bridge worlds, guiding souls and helping people find their way. However, for those who invoked her power carelessly or for selfish reasons, like Medea, the consequences could be severe. Those who used her magic for personal gain, to break the natural order, or to bring harm faced her wrath. Hecate's story didn't end with ancient Greece. If anything, it's grown even more intriguing over the centuries. She transformed from a revered goddess into a key figure in witchcraft, occult traditions, and modern spirituality. Her evolution speaks to how timeless and powerful her image truly is. When Christianity spread, deities tied to magic and the supernatural were often cast in a darker light, and Hecate was no exception. Her connections to witchcraft, necromancy, and the mysteries of the night made her a figure of fear and fascination. While the Greeks had honored her as a goddess of balance and transitions, later interpretations leaned heavily on her more fearsome traits. She became known as the Queen of Witches, a shadowy figure whispered about in secret rituals and stories. In modern times, Hecate has reclaimed her role as a symbol of empowerment and mystery. For Wiccans and neo-pagans, she's a goddess of magic, transitions, and the moon. People turn to her for guidance during uncertain times or when they're standing at a crossroads in life. So then, why is Hecate so terrifying and so loved? Hecate is a goddess who embodies duality like no other. She's both a protector and a force to be feared, a guide through life's darkest moments and a reminder of the unknown lurking at the edges. To the ancient Greeks, she was a bridge between worlds, the living and the dead, light and dark, order and chaos. Her ability to command spirits, wield magic, and stand at the thresholds of existence made her someone you respected and never dared to cross. Even now, her influence hasn't faded. Whether it's guiding those who feel lost, empowering modern witches, or captivating audiences in pop culture, Hecate continues to inspire awe. She's a goddess who thrives in the spaces between, proving that sometimes the most powerful figures are the ones who embrace both the terrifying and the beautiful. Loved and feared in equal measure, Hecate isn't just a goddess. She's a force to be reckoned with, and one the world will never forget.